Okay, now we're going to be looking at Excel Chapter 1. First thing I've done here, this for the develop your skills portion of this chapter, we don't actually, I've looked ahead and I don't think we actually use anything from the student handouts here. So we're going to be creating an Excel file from scratch. But the first thing I've done here is gone in and made an assignment 4 folder uh, to put all my work in. So first thing it wants us to do, and I've already done this, but I'll do it again, is open up Excel, and we're going to save this file as, save it, go browse, go to our BTech folder on the desktop, go to assignment 4, and we're going to save this as invoices, I think, yes. E1D1 invoices. And there's a lot of steps to this part of the chapter, but you don't actually end up doing just a ton of stuff. It's a lot of data entry. And so once we do this, there's just a few things that we're going to be typing in the different cells. A1, we've got airspace travel company. Invoices, and then a few other things to put in the cells. I am going to pause it right now to put those in, and I'll be right back. Okay, and I've put all that information in. It actually matches step 10 on page 195 here. Again, it's just putting in the information, as you can see, because the information in the cell is a little bit wider than the cell itself. It kind of cuts it off a little bit, but we'll fix that later. And now we move on to step D2, where we're going to resave it as D2 invoices. So save what we've got. Go in here and we'll save as. Switch this to D2. And again, we're in that folder we need to be, so we don't have to search for it. We'll save and we'll go. And then if we go to D2, it is just a little bit of navigation where, the arrow keys will get you around. If you do the home tab, it will go to the end of the row, and I believe it's Alt or Control tab, Control tab gets you all the way to the top of the document, and Control End will take you to the end of the document. And let's see what we're doing here. It looks like more just data entry for this. So we'll go to cell A4. I'll just do the first couple of these. To this data, Eric Snow in row 4. So we're going down here to row 4. And let's do E4 first, which is 2, number of guests. And because we have, sorry, I skipped 3. 3, we're going to enter that data, and then we're going to put 2 in here. But so his name is Eric Snow. We're just tabbing through. Oh boy. Talk and work at the same time. Not working. Provider is Sunwind, and the destination is Jamaica. Okay, so this is just, again, data entry. So if we've done, this is step 1 through 4 here. Just to create a new spreadsheet, put in this information in the cells, and to keep going here. And then it's just kind of showing the features of Excel here. So like the next one we have Allison Bosco. And then here, when I start typing Sunwind, it will fill in that automatically because Sunwind has been previously entered. And so here we can hit tab, and we don't actually have to type in Sunwind in its entirety. You can just go on to the next one. And that's really all that shows. And then for the rest of D2 here, it is just more some data entry. So again, I'm going to pause the video and just finish filling out this information here that's on page 198. Be right back. One thing I will show, I'll put in one more row here. And just to show that if we go to Excel here, we'll put in Lacey and we tab to get to the next cell. So we do these. She's going to do it again. Again, this will cut off a little bit when we tab over here and put in some information here because the information is wider than the cell is. But here, instead of tabbing here, as we tabbed here, we go to the next cell. Here we hit enter, and it will take us back to the first row. Okay, and just that's kind of, if you're putting in a lot of data, tab, 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 enter to get back to where you want to start. And now I'm going to pause it, put the rest of the data in. So put all that information in, I will save it, and we are done with D2. D3 is about basically just showing how to widen columns, which is fairly easy to do, and there's a few ways to do it. First thing we want to do, as always, is save this thing as D3, making sure it's in the folder we're going to turn in. And we follow the steps to manually adjust column A. And so, again, this is a deal where, the cursor has a lot of different looks to it depending on where you are on the screen. Here we want to go until we have this bar with the two arrows going across. If we hold in, we left click and hold, we'll see that this is 8.38, the width is. And if we want to move it, we just kind of drag to the right here so that we can get first name completely in the screen. And that's what we're doing for that step. In B, we're doing the same thing. It's just to try to set the width to 10. And you can kind of, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but we can get exactly to 10. Oh, there it was for a second. It is kind of tricky. There we go. There was 10 even. And we also want to set column A and C to 10. And so I'm going to just do the best I can. Oh, there's 10 and 10 again. Okay. And they have you do that. And then they say, well, hey, there's an easier way to do this or a more exacting way to do this. Is that we can go into, choose this column here, and we go to Home, Cells, Format, and Column Width. And then whatever column here we're in, it will show us the width. So we wanted to change this to 20. Oop. Change this to number lock and change this to 20. You certainly can. And then if you wanted to be at exactly 10, of course, you go back and format it again. Column width, put it at 10. And then, so then we would make sure, here it has this, I did set A through C to 10 already, but you would select all three of these. If they weren't at 10 already, you'd go to Format, Column Width, and 10. And if they're all three selected here, again, I'll just do it. So if we do 20, all three of them will change because we have all three selected. And we'll put those back to 10. All right. And next it's going to show us how to auto fit. Auto fit will, kind of like it says, it just will widen the cell to the width of the cell that has the most information in it. And this is how I like to do cell width if I need to most of the time, is you once again go to where you have the bar with the two arrows, and here you'll just double click right here in between the two cells. And you see it stretches it out to fit in Dominican Republic, and of course everything else was smaller, so it all fits in here, and that's how you auto fit. And we also want to do that. Do we need to do anything else? Nope. That's it. So we're going to save the workbook there and move on to D4. Here we're going to be using colors, borders, and font colors. So once again, Go in and we save it as our next one. D4. And we're going to select the range A3 to E3. So you just click, left click, hold, and stretch across here. Just pull the mouse across to the right. And we've selected that entire section. And we are going to put a fill color in here. The fill color is this little bucket. It's like a little paint bucket there. And we're going to go to blue, accent 1, darker 25. Which is blue. That's dark blue. Oh, it's here on the page. It's this next one over, I believe. That's dark teal. Okay. Here we will just use dark teal then instead of blue. Looks like that the color has changed slightly. So now they call it teal. We're clicking again. We're just here making sure that the color will fit. Or excuse me, that the color will be included. With this section still selected, of course, I clicked off of it, so I'll need to reselect it. We'll put a border around it. We go here, Home. Borders is right here. And right here is thick outside borders. We'll click that. Now, if we do click off, we'll see that that section does have a thick border around it. And now we're going to change the font color in here to white. Again, we'll select that row again. We'll go in here, and this is our font color. And we'll go in here. This is normally it's set to automatic, which is basically black. Here we want to go to white. We'll do that. And you can see that they have the white against the blue color, which is a little bit more visible. Let's see here. That says use the keystroke Control B to apply bold formatting. And so we'll go here and we'll do Control B. But of course, you could also go in and just select bold or turn it on or off. This is, it's just two ways to do the same thing. You can see here as I hover over at the bold and the Control B, they're both there to make the text bold. Now we're going to go make the title a little bit larger. We're going to cell A1. The font size here, we're going to change this to 18. And here in the next one down, we're going to change this to cell size in cell A2 to size 14. And here with this range selected, A1 and A2, just like since this cell includes all of this information, if we change anything to this cell, it will do everything here. We'll select them both. Again, we'll click here, drag down to select both. We'll let go, and we'll go change our font color here to, it says fifth column, blue accent 1, darker 50%. And here it is. Dark teal, but it's the same effect. And as you can see, it's pretty close to black already. But if you look, there's a slight difference there in the, if I undo it, you'll be able to see a little bit. Yeah. It is, let's see here. Oh wait, that's the wrong one, excuse me. This is the one. Okay, there we go. And as long as there is some sort of blue color in there, I will be happy. And then we also want to bold these. And there you can kind of see the blue a little bit better. Okay. So that's all we've done here. And this is step 4. So we'll save the workbook and we'll move on to step 5. Step 5 is a little bit of text wrapping. This is basically so the cells themselves won't get, when they were the text will wrap at the end of the cell instead of going over into another cell if there's another cell there. And so we will go in here. We'll save this as D5. And we'll do what it says here. So we will select the range A3 to E3. And we'll go to home alignment. And this is where we're here. And then wrap text, which is this button right here. Okay. And nothing really happens here. I think it might change a little bit when we do the alignment here. And so with that selection still selected A3 through E3, we're going to go to home alignment, and we're going to do middle alignment and center alignment. So there's middle and there's center. And select E3, or excuse me, E4 to E13. So again, E4 to E13 here, and then we're going to do this center aligned. So right there. Select the range A1 through E1, which is right here. We're going to merge and center, so we're going to turn this into a single cell. It's just going to be a single cell that goes the width of 5 instead of having 5 individual cells. Merge and center is right here. We see all the lines in between are gone, and it has been centered. And we're going to do the same thing here to the subtitle, I guess we'd say, or subheading. We're going to select A2 through E2, and we're going to merge and center. Finally here, we're going to select the range A4 through A13, which is A4 through A13, and we're going to increase the indent, which is in alignment, and it's right here. And we'll see this, the first name, come in just a little bit. And it does. And that's that one. So we're going to save the workbook, and we're going to move on to the next section, which is, looks like entering in some new information. Let me pause this real quick and I'll be right back. Now we move on to E1D6. First thing we'll do, of course, is save our previous, save as D6. And here we're adding in a little bit more information, working a little bit with formatting the cells, or number formatting. So in cell F3 here, we're going to type price per person, and here we'll be able to see the text wrap that we had done before. See where it doesn't just go price per person to stretch out to the cell G. It instead makes cell F larger and fits it all in one cell. That is what the wrap text does. And then in the next one here, we will have invoice date. It says, notice that the borders don't come over, which they certainly don't. So we'll select these two and do thick outside borders. Is it smart enough to know it's not? They want that to be two separate ones. It doesn't really say, so we're just gonna leave it like that. So in F8, so now we're gonna just start entering the data here. 899, and the invoice date is going to be 9/8, and that switches it to the 8 September date, excuse me. And then we're going to fill in the rest of this formatting. And it says here, you can see that this changed to a custom format, the date format here. And then we'll fill in the rest. This is the format that it wants. There are a lot of other date. You can do short date, you can do long date. In the custom, there are more formats down here, and there's custom. There's a bunch of different dates that you can do. But the one with the 8-September works just great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video again, and I'm going to put in all of the information in step 7 here, which is just putting in the rest of the prices and the dates for the customers. And so I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got that in there. And now the last thing it wants us to do for this section is to change our, since it is a price, it wants us to change it to the accounting format, which will change it into currency. Well, there's a currency format, but this will be the accounting format. Um, and it's just up here if we want to change that number formatting. Right here is the accounting number format. We will click it, and now we have dollars. And as it says here, we just want the rounded dollars. There's no change involved, and so we'll just get this to like for the first one to be 8.99 instead of 8.99.00 cents. If you want to decrease your decimal, you go here. For some reason, if you needed to increase your decimal here, so if you need a whole bunch more decimals, you put in there. But to decrease it, we just don't want any at all. And we'll also go in here and since then, and we will auto fit this one because when I put in those extra decimals, it widened the cell too much. Now this is where we want to be, and we're going to save the workbook. Okay, now we're going to do step D7, which is we're going to put in another column and we're going to do an auto fit for that. So in cell H3, right here, we're going to type invoice number and hit enter. Let's see, it doesn't really look like we are doing anything to update the formatting. We're not putting the borders around it here. We're just going to go ahead and put in this data. I imagine we will fix this border later because it doesn't look great right now. So in H4, which is right here, H4, we're going to put in the invoice number, and it's going to be invoice number 982. And here, just wanted to see where it wanted us to do the fill. If we go here and so a fill is basically based on a sequence of numbers. Excel will just put the next number in the line for you. This will work with dates. It will work with lists. It's really good for things like this invoice number here, which are sequential, right? So this is going to go from invoice 3982 to 3983, et cetera, et cetera. And if we just get this little box here to the plus sign and double click it, this will automatically put in sequentially the numbers down to the last row that we have data so that it starts here at 3982, 3983, et cetera, and it stops at 3991 because that's the last person we have. It doesn't just keep going forever because there's nothing to tie it to. Another way that you can do a fill, I'm going to undo this, is that you can here, I double clicked it. If you click and hold and drag, let's say that we only needed to go down to here. We didn't need those last three, but then we would just click, left click, hold when it is that plus symbol and let go. And then we would go down as far as we wanted to. We could, if we wanted to potentially go, we can go further if we manually drag it down. We'll undo it there, we'll undo that, and we'll just go back here and do it like it was originally intended, where we'll double click here and we'll just fill that in as far as it needs to fill. Oh, and that's all of that one. So I'm going to save this. Oh, I actually forgot to save it as D7. Do that now. It's very easy to do. As long as we have the work, probably fine. And then we're going to move on to D8. So actually, I'll go ahead and save it as D8 and then pause it and see what I'm supposed to be doing. So we're going to save this now. So we have D7 in the books. Save it as D8. And then I'll pause and be right back. Okay, yes, D8 here is just putting the finishing touches or updating the sheet to fix we have this sort of this disjointed border here, and we've put in some more columns, and so our merge and center here doesn't quite merge and center anymore because we got more data over here. So the first thing we're going to do here is go in here, A3 through H3. Let's just go in here, take out the border. So go back here to the border section and do no border to take it all away. And then to go in and redo a thick outside border to put the border back and to look good where it now encompasses all of the data that we put in here. For A1, for row one, where this is now not as wide as it needs to be, we're going to go in here, we're going to select everything again. We're going to click off Merge and Center, and that takes away the Merge and Center. We'll click it again, and it will include the cells that we put in after the fact. So now we've got, now we can see that it actually does fit, and we'll do the same thing to the subheading here. We click it once, we click it twice. We merged and centered, we had merged and centered, and now kind of the rest of the chapter is just different ways to work with Excel, to show you like different ways we can print it and different ways that the print can look. Here I'll quickly go to the print preview. Right here, print preview, we see it's right here. And we can change this to the different orientation. And so if we go here and change this to landscape, it gets wider. Oftentimes when you do have a spreadsheet, you will want to print from landscape because stuff will get cut off. I will also say that like sometimes that print preview is not perfect because here you see the price per person is cut off. If we go back to the spreadsheet, it does look correct. It should print how it looks on the page here. The print preview can be a little, maybe not exact, but if it looks like this on the page, that's what it's going to look like here. These dotted lines are the page previews. This shows you how much of the spreadsheet, the entire spreadsheet, is going to print per page. So if this stretched all the way over to cell M here, it would print on 2 pages because it's past that dotted line. Let's see if we need to really do anything else here. Just go through and save these as are needed. The rest of the develop your skills portion here is a bunch of searching around and finding things. Let's see here. I'll go through them. Okay, so in E1 D9, go through here. First thing, we'll save it as D8. Make sure that we did save it. It already exists, so we'll replace it. But now we'll go here and save as D9. Okay, so we've saved it, and now it shows us how to do the zoom. And so we'll go to View, which is another here on the tab. And then we have the zoom right here. And if we click on zoom, it can basically say, well, right now this selection here that we have, which is the cell, excuse me, I have to actually select that selection here. We'll go to zoom, and we can make this a different size on the screen. It's set to 100 right now. If we go to 200, click OK, it gets way bigger. We'll go back to zoom, back to 100, and then it shows us that you can also do a custom zoom. And here it says do 120. We'll go to custom zoom, we'll do 120. Okay. It also shows that you can go down here at the very bottom right corner is also kind of a little manual zoom. You can do a plus to make it bigger. You can do a plus or a minus to make it smaller. And it has you go to 110. And that's for D9 there. You're just working with the zoom tools. You can zoom through here, or you can zoom down here in this little bar, the little zoom bar at the bottom right. So we'll save that. And we'll switch over to D10. We'll save it as D10, and I will look at this and be right back. So D10 is just using the find, the kind of the search feature in Excel. So if you're looking, a real handy tool if you're looking for a specific record. Here we'll go to Home in Editing, and we'll go to the Find and Select this, and we'll click here on the drop down. Some of these commands, this will just open the drop down either way. Some of them do, if you would like click the little magnifying glass, it would be one command, and then the drop down is a different one. Here in this case, we just want that. Then just click the drop down, and we'll go to Find, and I'll just put this over here. It says we're going to go and try to find David. We have it one here in cell A12. So if we go in here, go find David, and we will find all. And then it shows us, there's David. It takes us to the cell, and it shows us the cell that he's in, which is A12. And that's kind of it. If we go to options, we can search in other, we can search within the sheet. You can search with the entire workbook, as it says here. Since we don't have any other sheets in the workbook, and he's the only David, you're still going to get the same result. So right there, you do it, and it's still the same result. And let's see if there's anything else. Oh, start a new search and try to find Sunwind. We have a few of these here. Looks like 3 or 4. We'll go here, find, and here instead of David, we will look for Sunwind. We'll find all of them. There they are. You can only see 3 that, at the beginning, but if you scroll down, you can see the 4th one there. And if you click on that cell, it will take you to it, which will be Amanda Campbell. We'll click here. Hey, take us to that one in Amanda Campbell. That's how the search function works. And then finally, we have the go to box. I'll close this. Diligently save it as D11. And use that go to feature. And so again, in Home, Editing, Find and Select, go to. And this will take us to a specific cell. So here we'll go to A4. Takes us to A4 over to Eric. Then we will go to, type the reference AS700, which I guess is going to be way further in the, yeah, all the way over here. AS is way down here at the bottom of the cell. It's basically showing you that you can go wherever you want. And so here we'll go back to this. And it does save those, which is handy. So we can just, if we wanted to go back to the beginning, we would do Control Home. Here we can just go right on back to A4. And that's that. Now you're ready to do the rest of the homework. As you can see, we really only did work through E1 through D8. The last 3 are more like looking at the tools. So if you hand in D8 or D11, I will certainly take either one. Okay, so that is that. Go forth and enjoy that Excel.